Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy it's we when mad it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lanka cricket we gon' represent. So tell a friend.
Welcome to the Murali End. My name's Mark Machado. I'm joined by my cousin across the pond, Dominic Machado, the professor of cricketology, and Sri Lanka's #1 historian, Nick Brooks. I'm in London, Nick's in London, Dominic's in the US, but Sri Lanka have lost the game of cricket in Colombo. Harry Brook has called it the worst cricket pitch he's ever played on. The ODI series is level 1-1, with it all to play for the third match. We went into the series a little bit like, well, we'd prefer if it was a T20 game, and you know what's really going on. The squad's looked a bit kind of lacking magic, but it's turned out actually to be quite a slobber knocker, hasn't it, Nick?
Yeah, it was another exciting game of cricket today. Slightly strange one. The pitch looked very, very slow when Sri Lanka batted. And I wonder if it slightly quickened up under lights or if it was just a Joe Root masterclass. I thought the spinners didn't quite have the same control they managed on Thursday. It looked a bit more like a backup attack. But I guess that is slightly down to the fact that England were ahead of the game tonight. They only need to score at, 4s? They didn't have to go at 7s like they did the other night. Strange innings with the bat at the halfway stage. I thought 220 was a decent score on that pitch, but it's frustrating to see a lot of batters getting starts and no one going on. And I think Sri Lanka might look back on this game and think about the number of batters who got out, kind of trying to play expansive shots. You look across the whole almost 100 overs, how many sixes were hit, how many expansive shots came off. Not a lot. I think maybe they could have taken it a bit deeper, looked to tick 1s and 2s, maybe 20, 30 runs might have made the difference. Kusal's run out, another huge moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Suninder's got into comments straight up and said Kusal's run out changed the game. If you haven't come across us before, we're the Murali End. We discuss Sri Lankan cricket all the time, particularly after kind of, I say, minutes after Sri Lanka played. We were a little bit later today, but there's kind of...
Yeah, not quite an hour. I feel like not quite an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. If what we do is you can leave your comments or your questions down the side and we'll get to them. We'll also open up. I'll send the studio link. I'll put that into the comments in about 10 minutes or so. The US will come in and have a chat with us and tell us what you thought of the game. Dom, like to get your thoughts. Like we've talked about Kusal's run out. I want to talk particularly about, because at the innings break, I thought 220 was possibly a competitive score on this deck. I feel though, with the 11 that Sri Lanka ended up going with, but having 2 paces in particular, it wasn't quite enough. There wasn't enough magic in our bowling today. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I tweeted out at the halfway mark. I said, I feel like 220 is par. And I think maybe the right answer is probably 250 was par on this pitch. It was a very slow wicket. You had to bowl in the right area. If you bowled in the right areas and at the right pace, there was ample turn available, and we saw Van der Sar do that on occasion, and he was pretty effective. I thought Wella is a little bit of a quicker, flatter bowler, and obviously he's done that to adapt his game for white ball pitches that are not like this. And so I think he was slightly less effective than we'd expect him to be. Very hard for the Pacers, and you know, I think we can talk a little bit about bowling strategy when you have Josh Butler bowling him Asitha Fernando and Pramod Madishan. That's like meat and drink for him at the end of the day.
I want to get quite early into Harry Brook's comments at the end, right? England did quite well today, did really well. I was really impressed with Ben Duckett's innings. Until the point he gets out, he's either fielding or facing every ball off the game by that point, and then kind of if he gets out, Joe Root sticks about. Joe Root's absolutely superb. Sometimes I get upset and I like to slag him off a little bit, but realistically, he's I'm happy to admit he's a generational talent, and also not just in Sri Lanka. He's not like Salman Ali Agha, who becomes kind of prime Steve Smith whenever he plays Sri Lanka. He actually goes and Joe Root plays well all over the world. Sri Lanka struggled to contain Joe Root a bit today, but I think the main kind of talking point from what England's performance is, Nick, is at the end, as I said, Harry Brook's comments, that was the worst pitch he's ever played on. I mean, what do you think? What do you think of that?
I find that really, really surprising, Marky. I didn't think it played that badly. It was very slow, but as Dom said, I'm not sure the finger spinners, Sri Lanka's finger spinners, got their pace quite right. I thought they were a little too quick, and it wasn't turning excessively. Vander's got the occasional one to rag, but there wasn't variable bounce. There wasn't loads and loads of turn. It was just slow. I think it's Harry Brook's first senior tour in Sri Lanka, right? And it's a Sri Lankan pitch. It wasn't a great ODI wicket in my opinion, but I think it's far from the worst pitch that he's going to come up against. Probably considerably better than the MCG pitch they got served up on Boxing Day. I find it strange. But Joe Root showed you can bat on that wicket by playing the ball late, by working it square and behind square, and that's the way to go.
Not a single aerial shot. I think that was kind of the key in watching Brook and Root bat, was they didn't put the ball in the air at all. And I think that was one of the differences I saw, especially late in the Lankan innings. I think Asalanka and Pawan Ratnayaka both thought, okay, I need to express myself a little bit more and try to score some big shots. But that ended up being their undoing and probably cost them 20, 30 runs in the end. You know, if they had just stuck it out and batted at a run a ball, it might have been a very different innings. I think the one time where you could kind of go aerial was in the power play. We saw Ben Duckett do it a couple of times. We saw Nasanka do it a couple of times. But once it got into the middle overs, the key was definitely to keep the ball along the carpet, maneuver it around, try to survive the ragging deliveries, and just bat long and bat as long as you can. And that was the difference today. We didn't have the Kusal 93 or even the Jonathan Lianage 46 where they stuck around, put a partnership together, and put the bowlers under pressure. And we kind of just we got 20s and 30s and starts and all of that, but nothing really amounted to much.
I was watching the game for TalkSport for the British radio broadcast with our new boss Jared Kimber, and he made the point. He was like, basically the difference in these two games is how many runs were your best batter's going to score. We saw Pattis plus Camel. We need to come up with something for that. Patty special Patty K, special Patty K or something. I don't know. The three of them weren't able to score runs, or and we mentioned the turning point was possibly Kusal's run out.
Yeah.
What we did see though was the kind of DDS and Charith, and we can even throw a little bit of Lianage and Pavan, kind of, because the two of them made kind of starts as well. DDS and Charith made runs today. I'm starting to interpret this series as it's trying to figure out what the middle order should be for all white ball games, regardless of the format, and it's trying to kind of get it in terms of the batting. In terms of the bowling, I think it's who's going to put their hand up and take that last one or two spots that might be for grabs. And in the 25, I think the 11's bowling wise pretty fairly set right now. Dom, we've been talking a lot on this show about when the middle order can score runs. They did today. We still lost. What happened? Is it just we're not like what more could you want from the middle order today beyond kind of obviously sticking about all the way to the end?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Is that one of that top 3 or 4 needs to basically bat through to the 45th over. And that's even in high scoring ODI formats, that's still the formula. You look at how India and New Zealand play, right? You have someone who sticks in there for a while, depending on the pitch, right? If it's a good pitch, you strike at a run a ball and everyone does better than that. Everyone else around you does better than that. If it's a pitch like this, you strike at 75, 80, but you stick around for 80, 90, 100 balls, and you soak up that pressure at one end. You make things easier for everybody else. And I think when you ask the middle order to play that much, again, we can compare England, right? England has a much more sort of accomplished middle order, basically because they have Josh Butler, right? But yesterday when they came in, or 2 days ago when they came in early, right, or in the middle overs and had to bat out 20, 30 overs, they really struggled, right? But today when they only had to bat, 5, 10 overs, easy enough for them to do the work.
And Sri Lanka actually outscored England in those middle overs, even with Root's innings. From 10 to 40, they scored 137 against England's 126. They just lost too many wickets, right?
Yep.
And maybe were a little sluggish getting off in the power play. I felt like even though Asitha and Pramod, I thought, bowled well with the new ball, England were able to get out ahead of it quite early.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting comment.
A lack of luck too, right? Yeah.
Interesting comment from Sanuda. If you're watching wherever you are if you're on the Combox channel, if you're on the Cricket Smash channel, if you're watching on Facebook, leave us your comments. We'd love to know what your thoughts are about the game, even if you're an England fan, even if you don't support Sri Lanka. We should talk about the news about Bangladesh today as well. And also I've put the link in to come and join us on screen. So if you want to come and join us on screen, hit that link, come backstage, and I'll talk to you in the private chat. We'll get you on in a few minutes. So Nuda's written, and this is in response to Harry Brook's comments that I'm absolutely flabbergasted about. Harry Brook saying this is the worst pitch he's ever played on. So Nuda's written, it's always the set of countries. You will never, ever see subcontinent players or coaches complaining about pitches. Whenever they talk about pitches, they're heroes. But if we do, it's a skill issues. Nick, as the kind of West Indian representative on this show, I will say we did have an incident with Darren Sammy complaining about pitches a couple of years ago as well. I think this is a kind of fair point, right, Dom? Cricket, the challenge around cricket is almost trying to go around the world and play in different conditions, right?
Yeah.
I think complaining about this. Yes, I think within Sri Lanka, within the Sri Lankan cricket community, we can have discussions on the type of pitches we're preparing.
Yeah,
and this pitch maybe isn't the best for the team we have or the skills that we. The talent that we have, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with this pitch in terms of an international wicket, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a tough wicket. You kind of had to apply yourself and bat. It wasn't as if the ball was absolutely ragging. It was a bit slow, but there was no danger to the players. It was tough to play on. There were runs to be scored. Joe Root looked fine. This is what makes someone like Joe Root a classy, great player, because he's able to negotiate the conditions. You don't ever hear him complaining. He's played in India on pitches that rag and turn, and he never complains about it. He's all about, how do I adapt my game? And that's, to me, what makes players great, is the ability to say, okay, this might be my bread and butter, but this is how I'm going to adapt and change depending on what the situation and the circumstances are. So to me, it wasn't, I wouldn't call it a great pitch. I wouldn't call it a standard pitch for ODI cricket in 2026, but certainly didn't provide any danger, certainly wasn't unplayable. And, even our spinners struggled. You have to kind of find, it's just because the pitch is slow and takes spin, you still have to find the right length, the right line, and the right pace to bowl. And someone like Adil Rashid, I thought, really did a good job with that today. And someone like Dunith Walalage struggled a little bit with it.
We've got some people lined up backstage to have a chat. So let me take the this. No, that's the wrong one. Yeah, is that's oh no.
You had it right.
Right
you got caveat.
Right, this. Yeah, then I got to press this, and then we've got Kai, Kulinu, and Hannibal lined up. We'll get you all on. We'll get Kai on first. Kai, I know. Thanks for coming on. Love the top.
Yes,
I know it's been a tough day for you because I know you support Tottenham Hotspur as well. And I was just checking the score, and it's not been a great day for them. You can check out Football Smash, by the way, because there's a couple of Thomas Frank based videos on that. I love Thomas Frank, by the way. I think you keep him. Anyway, Kai, what's your thoughts on the cricket?
Well, I thought it was an interesting game, but to be honest, it was never. because I was listening to TalkSport, and a great for you that you were able to plug Murali End, by the way. And
thanks.
I thought your analysis was really good. I really enjoyed the TalkSport coverage because there's you and Jared on it, so I thought that was great. But what I found was a bit difficult to watch was but the batting was painful at times because they just didn't seem to know that it was like you need to be looking for ones, but then looking to occasionally hit the boundaries. So if you looked at what Joe Root's innings was, it was like constantly farming singles, and Asalanka didn't seem to be able to kind of reapply pressure, right? So Harry Brook, maybe he's the kind of person you keep the field outright, you offer him the singles, and he's going to get pressure because he's someone who needs to hit boundaries. Joe Root milk spin all day, and we saw like there was like 4 to 6 degrees of turn. Joe Root is really strong off his pads and clipping the singles, even when it's spinning, because he comes out to the ball and he plays it in front of him. Someone like Harry Brook, who can get a bit more stuck on the back foot, will get stuck with the turning ball, right? He's not as confident in these conditions. That's where you offer him the single. You say, yeah, we're not going to let you hit boundaries, and he's going to want to hit boundaries, right? Joe Root is the person that you put pressure on him by not letting him have the single. So I thought it was poor captaincy from Asalanka. I don't know. That was just my thoughts on that.
The thing I felt, and I think I said this a bit during the game, was I just felt actually Sri Lanka has a lot of great bowlers, and it kind of feels like they didn't get the combination right. They were basically coming into this expecting. I think still for me, Wickets isn't quite a full-time spinner. He's kind of a batter who bowls a bit, but I think really it's unrealistic to expect to get 30 overs from DDS, Charith and Danath. You're kind of letting them in. I think all three of them, like if you're going to play three of them, you should be looking to only get 20 overs from them between the three of them. I think having 2 seamers was totally unnecessary. You think if they dropped Pramod and picked in Teekshana, and I don't have any insight into why Teeks isn't playing. He might be injured, or they might be trying to rest him for the World Cup or whatever, and that's fine. I think if he was playing, then it gives us just a little bit better balance. And you're not you can take. He could then bowl 10 overs. You don't need that second seamer. I don't know what Nick and Don, what you guys think about that.
I agree with Kai about Charith's captaincy today. I thought he was late to go to Vanders, and I thought he made it too easy to Root and kind of just let the game drift a little bit. And if he tried to cut those singles, I mean, Sri Lanka had a higher dot ball percentage than England. And I know Root played a fantastic innings, but that shouldn't be happening in your backyard. I also agree with you, Marky, that like, if Wani and Theeks aren't going to play this series, I think Sri Lanka should be going 2 frontline spinners and Wickets. And I wonder if they had a think about someone like Tharinder Ratnayaka, who's just gone fairly well in the SA20, bowls with both hands, so can be useful to right and left handers. But yeah, I do agree that instantly going to DDS, Charith, and then I think Vanders didn't come till sort of 18th, 19th over. And to me, those guys just didn't quite have the same control today, especially DDS that he managed on Thursday.
Yeah.
On the bowling issue, I actually got quite annoyed about Pavan Ratnayaka having to bowl the kind of penultimate over. I thought that was a lot of people bottling it. And even Pramod having to come on and, he ended up bowling, was it 1 ball or 2 balls? But I thought that showed a little bit of kind of mental weakness amongst the kind of the bowling group. If you're a cricketer, you're going to lose cricket matches, right? Just kind of front up. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not saying we could have won. It was unlikely you're going to win it, but you should have thought they should have been more thought. Other people should have been putting their hand up to get it, to take the ball. I still think part of these problems about who's bowling where is because the lineup isn't quite right. So he basically has to burn off the seamers right at the top.
Yeah.
And then by the time he comes to Vanders in both games now, Vanders has had to break up Root, Duckett, and they both look really set. Today, Root was almost kind of too set, and he takes the game away. right? I also feel, and I think I said this on commentary as well, when a player gets set, and I've felt this for a long time with Sri Lanka, probably about as long as we've been doing Murali End, I don't feel like we're really set to try and work them to get out. They're kind of just chucking the ball at someone and going, give us a bit of magic.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka cricket,
Yeah.
possibly more, because, you know, we're obviously the most magical side of the world. That probably works more often than it might do in other places. But I think we're just going to come in with better plans. For you know, if you're playing Joe Root in Sri Lanka, the stats would say it's a fairly good chance he's going to get himself in. So what are you doing to try and stop him getting himself in, or what are you doing to once he's in? I don't know, Dom. How, like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Kai's definitely right. I thought one thing that they did well was they plugged the sweep and the reverse sweep pretty well. So they took that away as a scoring option. But I think if you're going to take that away as a scoring option, and you know that they're going to kind of try to work the ball through mid wicket to mid on to mid off, you got to make that shot a little bit harder, pitch it wider, right? Force them to go fetch it, force them to come out of their crease to get it, right? Do something that did that. And I felt like that was what Will Alligay did really well in the last match, was he was able to lure the batters out of the crease, and he got a stumping. Asalanka did that. I think they didn't get them forward enough, right? It was basically like they could stay back. Root could stay back and defend. He didn't have to move out of the crease or inside the crease to manufacture anything, right? So I think thinking about that, but again, in some ways, I think it's good to give someone like Will Alligay experience here. It's a low pressure situation. I think it'll be interesting. So I'm curious, Kai, your thoughts on this specifically. When I watch DDS bowl, I think he's kind of our very he's our poor man's equivalent of Akshar Patel. And rather than saying, oh, we're bringing him in to bat at 4, we should say, no, he's the equivalent of our Akshar Patel, and then he's batting at 4 as a bonus, right? I'm curious what you think as we're sort of watching DDS bowl and use these pitches, and what you think about how he's going to do in the upcoming World Cup.
Well, I think I really like Dhananjaya de Silva, but do I think he should be in 11 at the moment? Has he done enough? I don't know. I was looking at the stats, and he's not got an ODI 100, right? And he's played in early 100 matches. That's quite poor for your number 4, right? And the difference between Akshar and Dhananjaya, right, is Akshar is a full-time spinner, I'd say, who bats, right? And DDS is meant to be a batter who can bowl part-time spin. And I think if you went anywhere else in the world, he's not bowling. He's not getting you over that. I think I'm interested. I think it's not a bad pick to have him in the 11 for the T20 World Cup, because he's going to be able to, would I prefer Kusal Pereira? Probably, because he's got better ball striking.
What about him or Kamindi?
I would, that's what I was about to say. I think Kamindi should be playing. Pavan Ratnayaka can't offer you anything. Well, he bowled today, but he can't. I thought Pavan Ratnayaka must be a wicketkeeper or something. Why is he in the 11 batting at 7? Purely as a batter who can't bowl at 7, and you have essentially one full-time spinner in.
Yeah.
Will Alligay is an incredible spinner on his tape, but he wasn't flying enough today. And if you look at what Axer does, Axer's a very tall bowler. He's very quick, and he can get an incredible amount of drift. So he doesn't rely on turn. I remember he bowled with I think it was a pink ball against England, and he was bowling with a new ball, and he took Fife and he ripped them apart but that DDS is never going to do that for you. And that's the difference between your DDS and your Axar, is that Axar is like a game-winning spinner. DDS might pick up a couple wickets, but I also think DDS is a slightly better batter than Axar, and I think that's a push, and that's quite disappointing in this format, I'd say. Yeah. Obviously, Test cricket's different, but
I think, it's interesting. I think that's the role that they should be grooming Wella for, right? To be that number 4 batter with a little extra punch, and who kind of bowls fast, flat spin in a white ball format. But I think it shows what you said, Kai, was I think excellent analysis of what Akshar does and why he's valuable in that Indian side, even though they have much better batters, is he can do something with the ball and contribute. And I think till Sri Lanka really come to understand the value of a player like Dunith Walalage and where to play him, right? Like he came in at 8, but I wonder what happens if he comes in at 4, right? How different does this look? And then even Pawan Ratnayaka. I think Sanuda made this point. Pawan rotates the strike well, right? He came out of the crease. He's the one batter who's really comfortable coming out of his crease and playing spin, because he doesn't really have the sweep shot. But yeah, I think we have to think about how we're setting up this team and what the job of all the players are.
Kai, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully you come back after the game on Tuesday when we're hopefully celebrating something. Kulanu, thanks for joining us today, bro. Whereabouts you joining us from? Because you were in SL over Christmas as well, right?
Yes, I was, and I'm back in DC now. Yes, I just got back a couple of weeks ago.
How's everything in DC? What's the weather like there?
It's pretty terrible this weekend. So, so
yeah, you don't know about this, do you, Mark? We're getting the whole East Coast is getting slammed with a foot and a half of snow and freezing temperatures.
Ooh, I am happy
well below freezing temperatures, closer to 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, getting up at 4 a.m. it was cold. Sorry, I said getting up at 4 a.m. it was quite cold in the morning.
Jeez. So yesterday I had to go to the supermarket at the bottom of our road to go get some food. And on the way back, I felt a feeling in my leg and I got quite nervous and worried. I was like, I haven't felt this feeling before. And then I realized what it was. It was the cold. Because I just spent 6 weeks in Sri Lanka. I was like, and it wasn't that cold before I left. I've been blessed and avoided it. And I was like, no, I don't think I was created for the cold.
Me neither, man.
And yeah, like it's not good. Anyway, Kulanu, what do you make of the game today?
Well, I think it was a bit of a non-event. Like it was not a memorable game in the long run. If you think about it, if you think about the ODI format, it's not going to do us a lot of good because it's going to be in South Africa. If you think about the T20 format, it's not going to do us a lot of good either, other than like getting players in rhythm or testing some of the final makeup of the 15, because the pitch, obviously I don't agree with Harry Brook saying it's the worst pitch, but it's not necessarily like a T20 style pitch. So it's not going to do us favors for either of those objectives. But I think it's not a sort of a 50 all out sort of a crash bang low point, but I feel like it's also a bit of a quiet low point for us today, because we came off facing an opposition who had been on an away losing streak. We kind of didn't dominate, but played well and won the first game. But then how do we end up then 2 days time completely turn around and losing against the same opposition, right? So I feel like
I'm just gonna say something, and Kai is still in the back uploading, so I'm gonna look at his face while I say it. But if your team ever needs a good result in the cricket world, then Dr. Lanka will see you now, and that's exactly what happened to him today.
Absolutely.
If you're a football fan, you'll know what that's a reference to. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, I was saying that once the first game ended, of course, we played better than them, as in like we didn't do as many mistakes as England.
Yeah.
But I would say Dunith Walalage saved us at the end. I think a lot of other people were saying that as well. That score got inflated, and our entire game plan, I'm not disrespecting the team or the strategy or the management, but from the outside, it seems like our game plan is put some runs on the board, which is enough pressure, and then let's wait for the pitch to turn enough so that the eventual collapse comes even after a partnership like Duckett and Root had the other day, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then we sort of cross our fingers and wait for the wickets to go down. But then a team who has lost a game will go back and think, okay, what did we do wrong as the team who lost? And they would have seen, oh, let's not bowl overturn in the last over. They went with Root today. They had an injury, I know, but they had more sort of spinners coming in. They took on the power play a little bit more. So the team who lost will do some course corrections, right? But then the team who won has to do something, knowing that they will respond to some of the mistakes they did last time. But I felt like we were just staying at the same place, and we ended up not getting enough runs. 220 was probably short, as we all said. And then it panned out in the second innings because it wasn't enough runs. So I guess it was like not learning and applying at all from the last game, even though we won.
You see, I just there's a weird maturity about what I'm about to say. That's traditionally you'd expect Sri Lanka just play their best 11 players that are available at any given moment, and even like go, yeah, I know there's a T20 World Cup starting in 2 weeks' time, and we know that a load of our players are quite injury prone, but sod it, we need to win this series, right? And actually, there's a kind of maturity in the fact that they've opted not to do that.
Yeah.
If you look at this, is like in a way the least magical bowling lineup Sri Lanka could possibly conjure up. And there's so many great bowlers who are being rested. And I'm not saying anyone who played today doesn't deserve to be playing international cricket. I just think that the team was almost a kind of possibles for the T20 side. Yeah. And then I look at this England side, and you just think it just looks like the flattest team of all time, right? A lot of them are coming off the back of a disaster Ashes series. The ODI team hasn't fired in absolutely ages. Apart, there's kind of Root and Joss and Adil Rashid, and then there's a load of players who are full of a lot of promise and talent, but haven't quite delivered on that yet. And you think, in theory, it feels like it could be quite flat and unmemorable. But weirdly, we've had 2 games that have been quite decent. I do think part of it is because I think it's a England team who feel that they should be beating this Sri Lankan 11, and the Sri Lankan 11 who feel like they really want to fight and scrap and make that shirt theirs, which I've got to say, I kind of do love to see, right, Nick?
Yeah, I feel like even with this backup attack, Sri Lanka should be winning this game today. And I don't think it was a bad performance, but I feel like it was a sloppy performance. And if they just tightened up 10-20%, they would have won the game. As you said, Kalunu, the losing side are always going to adapt, right? And I think that the way that England adapted was, they were slow out the gate. Stuckett was really slow to get going, but once him and Root got together, they put pressure on Sri Lanka early and got ahead of the scoreboard. And so they didn't get to that stage where they had to start pushing the tempo, and they were able to tick singles. And I don't think Charith or the bowlers really responded. I don't think the pitch actually broke down quite as much as it did on Thursday, the way Sri Lanka expected it to. And I'd really like to see Wani and Theeks come in for the 3rd ODI and for Sri Lanka to put the boot into England.
I kind of am of the opposite opinion, Nick. I got to say, for me, a Wani injury is not at all worth a serious win against England.
I know what you're saying, Dom, but then it goes back to my other issue, which is why are these games being played at all? And and is anyone getting anything out of this? I think it's easy to say DDS had a great innings today, right? But what was the point? It's so different to the kind of innings he's going to be asked to play in 2 weeks' time when it actually matters, that this is kind of just a sideshow.
Yeah, it's that I 100% agree is ridiculous. The fact that they are playing ODI matches leading up to the World Cup is okay. That's weird. But on these pitches in particular, I'm really curious now what the Premadasa is going to play like in 2 weeks' time, because I don't think you can change this. What is going to happen? What is going to happen such that they'll roll it, but it can't really change that much. And then part of me wonders, maybe, I think we've all been talking about, is there going to be a home advantage for Sri Lanka? And of course, playing in Sri Lanka, there will be some advantage. But if the pitches play like this certainly suits this Sri Lankan team more than pitches where 200, 220 are par. And I think we might be seeing 2 very different World Cups, because if you've been following what's been happening in India, the pitches are complete roads.
I was going to say, I don't know if this filtered true, but have you seen that Bangladesh have been replaced by Scotland today?
Yeah,
that they won't be taking part in the World Cup. Which, I have no words. I just don't know what to say about it.
I think the ICC needs to take a long, hard look at itself, because I don't think any member states are going to challenge this, are they, and risk getting on India's bad side. It's sad to see.
There was some suggestion that Pakistan might challenge it. I was too busy caught up in the game, so I don't know what the kind of politics of it actually will end up being. But I mean, look, I'm just going to say this: if Sri Lanka win it, we're going to have to put an asterisk on it, or have a one-off game against Bangladesh in solidarity with them afterwards. And we all know, like, you know, I'm the person who is least fan of Bangladesh cricket, but come on, this is not in the spirit of the game at all, is it? And actually, I feel kind of gutted for some of the Bangladeshi players. Because this is a purely politically motivated thing, right? It wasn't the BCB asking for this or anything like that. So, I mean, we're 2 weeks out from a major ICC tournament, a World Cup, and they're kind of messing around with the teams that are playing in it. Imagine what the Scotland players must be thinking.
Yeah. And that's a serious Bangladesh squad too, right? Like they've been playing some very, very good cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've been warming up with the Bangladesh Premier League just ended, right? So,
and
then like I think it's the third largest population-wise fan base in the world. So it's such a shame that
200 million. Yeah, you've given me a great way to plug my Bruno Fernando interview, because he was I think he got 4 wickets in the final, didn't he?
4 wickets for 9 runs of 3 overs, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been playing he's won the Bangladesh Premier League. I did an interview with him which came out earlier a few days ago. Go and check it out. Go and have a listen to it or watch it. Leave your comments, leave us your likes, tell us what you think. That's on the Cricket Smash channel. I realised there'll be a lot of people watching on the Combox channel.
But
should we have a look at some of these comments?
Yeah.
Sanuda said, why we not talking about Patham? He's failing since 2025. Is it time to give him a break? I mean, it's 24 days. I actually thought people will be upset with the way he got out today and the way he got out to the moon ball the other day. I think that moon ball, unless you faced it, is probably quite a tough ball. Yeah. I also think it's a real club cricket ball. Like, yeah. I don't want to swear because people.
I think he's super smart though, right? And he'll learn from watching the way Joe Root's gone about it and think maybe he could play less shots in anger on these kind of pitches.
Yeah. I also feel like it's, you know, he's amping up for the T20 World Cup. You could see the mentality in his eyes is he's not thinking about this pitch. He's thinking, okay, how do I put my foot down and dominate these bowlers? Which, you know, I'll give him props for that. And we're going to be relying on him in, you know, a couple of weeks to put up big runs. And I think that's important. Can I also address Kamil Mishara? I saw some critiques of him. I've seen the looks of how he plays. He's got long levers. He can hit the ball. He's a sweet timer of the ball. Just give him some time. We don't need to rush him in and out of the lineup and keep moving him up and down. Give him some time to come good, and he'll come good. As we know, that's where we've gotten our most serious players in this side, is by holding on to them as they grew into the roles.
Absolutely. And to be fair to Pathum, he hit the ball for 6 this time around. The same shot that he got out the other day. So managed to hit the only 6 that we had in the innings, I think.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see what the conversation between the 2 opening batters are. I mean, they would have had, after the game, they would have a conversation on like how to go about the power play to give us some momentum in the next game. So hopefully they'll come up with something.
I'll just bring this comment up for KZ Plays. Brooks' comments today were quite childish. Sound like someone who isn't used to playing and turning tracks. You know, I said this last time around. I don't want to slag him off. He's the captain of the England cricket team. He's a kid going through a tough time at the moment. But I kind of somewhat agree with this comment. I think Brooks needs to not Nick, Harry Brook.
Yeah, I don't think people slagging me off.
No relation.
Harry Brook needs to kind of reassess his relationship with cricket is the way I would kind of suggest it. Let's see this comment. ABD don't have 10k plus any format, very early retirement, 8k in test, 9k plus ODIs. I have no idea why I've suddenly got a comment up about AB de Villiers, but here we are.
Into it.
For some reason, there's a whole chat about AB de Villiers in the comment section. Keep your kind of comments. Yeah, great player.
Hey, if he wants honorary Sri Lankan citizenship, I'm sure they'd be able to give it to him. He can come in and fill that 4 position for the T20 World Cup.
I don't know. Sri Lanka SLC would probably still pick DDS. Sanuda said Harry Brook needs to play in Mirpur. Yeah, absolutely. But England don't. I think England are actually due to go there next year, aren't they? Did I read that somewhere?
I think that's right.
They might be, yeah.
But we'll find out soon. He'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. I'm sure Harry Brook's enjoying the Colombo nightlife as well. It's a great place to be the captain of the England cricket team.
He's definitely had a few cocktails, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely. Which of the England players, I think you like, maybe we do this after the next game, do you think would have tried? And like, how much Sri Lankan food do you think each of these players would have tried? Like, are they going in for the 4 hoppers and fish curry for breakfast, or is it a token mutton roll at the end of the series?
I mean,
let's do a scale.
I think the answer is and we have to say, aside from Adil Rashid and Rehan Ahmed, because we know that they're living it up and enjoying it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know some people who are quite close to Adil Rashid. I'll find out whether he's, because I am half. My mum's from North India, and North Indian food and Sri Lankan food is quite dramatically different.
Yeah.
North Indian food is obviously closer to kind of Pakistani food, right? And also actually, because if I'm an expert in anything, it's probably the buffets of Colombo. So what I can tell you is most of them have a Sri Lankan food section and an Indian food section, and of course a Chinese food section as well. So I mean, it's quite possible you could go a whole tour. You could stay in Sri Lanka for quite a while and never not need to drift away from the food of your people.
Mark, can we?
Very true, Marky. I reckon someone like
we serve up some food on the next game. For the whole 11, that's
Mark,
with some spice on the wicket, a little more spice on the wicket.
Yeah. I think you can ask Jared this for the next match, who he thinks is having the most Sri Lankan food among the England side.
I reckon Big Bryden Cast is eating with his hands by now.
Oh yeah, he's definitely well stuck into it, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not playing either, so he's string off with everything.
Can we call you the professor of buffetology? I want to make this your official title.
Yeah, I would love that. I keep thinking every time I'm in Sri Lanka, I was like, every time I go to a buffet, I should just make an Instagram video, because I've done a few of them in various hotels. I've done Cinnamon Life, and I think I might have done one of the Jet Wings, and I've done a few of them. But then I think actually the volume of buffets that I end up attending, people will think I'm a glutton. And also, I don't know if you have this problem when you're in Colombo, Kulanu, but all of my older relatives, the only activity they seem to want to do is go to a different buffet at a different restaurant, in a different hotel.
Eating is a big part of our sort of community meetups, right? So definitely.
Yeah, like my wife has been to Sri Lanka 6 times, and this time we were just there, I think was the first time. Actually, it was when we were there in October for a little bit. Was the first time so her 5th time that someone actually took her to a restaurant outside of a hotel, and like, because I was like, I think Chelsea only thinks that you can only eat in big hotels, and that every breakfast must be a giant big buffet. I was like, this isn't normal.
Mark, I think anyway, the next time England are in Sri Lanka, your job is going to be the buffet correspondent in whatever hotel England is in. Just take note of the food and report back to us every day.
I fear if I ever bump into the Sri Lanka team in a buffet, I'll become super uncle. I'll be like, my child, you can't eat that. Come on, you got a game in like 3 days. Like, what are you doing? Colourful plate, just fruit. I just want to see you eating the fruit and protein. That's all you should be eating. You're a professional athlete. Guys, right, should we leave it here, because we are drifting from cricket smash into food smash. We'll be back after the game on Tuesday. Thank you for watching and joining us and listening to us. If you're listening to the podcast, I'll put that up in a couple of hours' time. Not a great result, but I thought a kind of decent-ish game. Sets it up nicely for Tuesday. See you all then. Bye.
It's the Murali End, you're in a place to be. Analyze the players in the team. Keep a great company in the stream. It's a Murali End. welcome to the show. We're here when you're high, we're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy it's we, when mad it's them. It's the same place, Murali End, Sri Lanka cricket we gon' represent. So tell a friend.